I'm going to try to make this pumpkin video again. This will be my third attempt. I just can't seem to get it right. But these little pumpkins are cute. And with Halloween coming up, I think they would just be a perfect little crafty thing to do. And I'm making these out of the bajillions of paper tubes that we're all making. Like this. We're all making these, right? It's not just me. Because, you know, I don't want to be obsessing alone over here. So y'all get busy. Start making tubes. Anyway, that's what these are made out of. Almost entirely. That, a toilet paper tube, and then a little scrap of cardboard. And that's it. I think they're cute just left plain with whatever pattern your paper happens to be. Or you can paint them. And if you paint them, I recommend that you paint the pieces before you assemble your pumpkin and not after. I learned that little tip the hard way. You can put stuff inside. I've got some tissue paper in here. You can put some different colored paper. I think like metallic shreds would be neat, or any color shreds to go with whatever color you want for Halloween. I like my Halloween stuff is usually in the black, white, brown, or silver category. So these work for me. And I really love this plain one. I think I like this one better than the other two. So anyway, these are not difficult. They're not really even that tedious and time consuming like most of my stuff. So, you know, there's that. And you can make it with stuff that you pretty much already have on hand. If you don't like the look of the recycled paper, you can certainly use pattern paper, scrapbook paper, colored paper, whatever you want. You know, I just happen to be into the whole recycled look, so that's what I use. So, let me show you how to make one of these little dudes. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a lot of paper tubes. By a lot, I mean probably between 70 and 80. It just depends on how full you want your pumpkin to be. You know, if you want a lot of space between your strips, you don't need so many. Now, that's not all 70 and 80 are used for these strips. For the body of the pumpkin, you're probably going to need about 50 of the tubes. And then you'll need another 20 for the stem, and maybe wrapping the toilet paper tube, you know, things like that. So just to be on the safe side, say 70 to 80. So, make your paper tubes if you haven't already, and to do that, you're going to need some paper, a kind of a lightweight paper. You can use newspaper. I really don't care much for the actual newspaper, but I do like the Sunday ads. They tend to have they're kind of coated, a little bit glossy, and they just roll up tighter. I like that paper. So I use a lot of the Sunday ads, or old textbooks are good. And that's what I've got right here, is one of Taylor's old textbooks. I was using her environmental science, but I think I'm in sociology now. It's one of those textbooks that, you know, we couldn't sell back, and, you know, so you're kind of stuck with a $150 book. Oh my gosh, I am getting $150 worth of use out of it, I'm telling you. So, you cut strips of whatever paper you're using, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches wide. I like mine. This is probably 2.5 inches wide. This is a good width. Length really doesn't matter. This is probably, I don't know, 11 inches, 12 inches, something like that. One thing for this project that is helpful, it is helpful if you use paper tubes that are all from the same source. You can certainly use, you know, tubes from your Sunday ads. They tend to come out, and these have been flattened, but you can see They come out a little bit like this. They're all different lengths. You know, you have like this really super long one, and then some of these are more squatty. And for this particular project, it is just a little bit easier if all of your tubes are from the same source, which will make them about all the same length. They won't be exact because, you know, depending on how you roll them up, there's a little bit of variance, but let me show you. It's not much. It's maybe a ½ inch or so. So it's just a lot easier to use tubes that are about all the same size and same weight of paper. You certainly don't have to. That's just a little helpful tip. So let's roll them up. Okay, before I start, I have to show you this glue I've been using. I've been using it for the past 3 or 4 days. It's from Basic, B-A-Z-I-C, liquid glue. It comes in a 2-pack. I saved my container so I could show you. It comes in a thing like this, and there's 2 of them, and I found it at my King Dollar store, which means the package was $1.15 because that's what everything in there costs. I don't know if King Dollar is a nationwide chain or if it's just a local chain. I don't know. They're all over Houston. But check your Dollar Tree or your 99-cent store, anything like that, for this weird, odd liquid glue. 2 for $1.15, and it is pretty darn good glue, especially for doing these tubes and paper beads. I'm really liking it. Let me show you why. I tend to do them sort of assembly line fashion, and I'll put a little bit of glue in this corner, you know, and I'll usually do a whole stack. I'll do maybe 12 or 15 at a time, and then take my skewer. This is the one that's not quite as big as a chopstick. It's about the size of a number 8 knitting needle, if that makes any sense to you. 7 or 8, somewhere around there. But you take your skewer, take your paper strip, start in the corner, not like this, but like this. You want a little bit of a right triangle there. This is black paint all under my fingernails, so don't get grossed out thinking that it's dirt or anything, because my hands are actually clean. I scrubbed them, and that was kind of the best I could do. I have blobs of hot glue on here. Okay. Alright, roll this puppy up. There we go. And I have found, because, you know, I'm just the kind of nerd that would do this, I timed myself on how many of these tubes I could make in an hour. And, you know, doing it assembly line fashion like that, I can make about 120 to 140 in 1 hour. And, you know, of course, I've been making a lot of them, so I've kind of got my routine down. But it doesn't take much practice to get good at it. So, you know, when I tell you you're going to need between 70 and 80 paper tubes, even if you're just now starting to make them and trying to figure it all out, you can do that in an hour or less. So don't freak out. It's really good to do just sitting in front of the TV, you know, with a little lap tray. Yeah, I've got my whole little setup in there. It's just too bad I don't watch very much TV. But when I do, I've got stuff to keep me busy. Okay, so roll you up a whole stack of tubes like this. Then you're going to want to flatten some of them, not all of them. And it's just kind of easier if you flatten them ahead of time so that, you know, they're all flat and ready for you to use, like this. And I run mine through a pasta machine. I have one of those silver tabletop cranky pasta machines. But you can probably use, you might even be able to use like your die cutter machine, you know, just with the blank plates in there. Or what I did before I figured out the pasta machine, this is where I keep my tubes, just lay them up against something and do like that. See? And you can do it with your hands just like that, but my little hands just don't work very good. Okay. So flatten about, let's say 50. That's a good round number. Now, I think in this one I had probably 46, 48. So I think that's about a good number. So let's just say, for a nice round number, let's say 50. Now, I've got some rolled up and ready to go. And you don't have to do this. In fact, okay, don't do this. Not for your first one anyway. But I had some tubes that were, where are they? Like this. That they're like from the back of the book where, you know, it has like the glossary or the index or whatever, and there was no pictures, so there's no color on them. They're kind of boring. So I literally just scribbled on some of them. They're not, you know, Zentangled or anything. I mean, this is like elementary school scribble, you know, didn't take my time. There's blotches and smudges, and I just wanted to get just some interesting pattern on there really fast. And I used, you know, one of these Pitt pen, Faber-Castell pens to do it with on most of them. A couple of them I tried some different pens, but they didn't work out. These are some that I had spray painted and used to make one of these other ones. I think it was this one. I think this one started out black. Or maybe, no, this one I painted after the fact, and that's how I learned that you don't want to do that. You want to paint first and then assemble. I don't know. Anyway, I had these left over, so throw a few of those in there. And then I've got my patterned ones, and I have some, oh, yeah, see, it started black, that I put the silver paint on that I used on that other one. So I'm just going to use these up, and we'll see what happens. I think it'll come out kind of funky looking. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So I've got these flattened, ready to go. Let's say we're going to use about 50 of them. Now I'm going to need 2 pieces of cardboard for the base. And that's this part right here. And that's just something flat for it to sit on and to glue your strips onto, or your tubes onto. So you need two, and it can be anything. I think I used part of a cereal box on one of them, and I've got some other cardboard packaging I dug out of the trash. So, you know, you don't have to use like chipboard or real cardboard. Just use what you got. I've got Jason's contact lens solution. So let's use that. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, and size is really not that important either. Let's make it, I usually make it about the size of my hand, and I've been using this cup. I had something in this cup. Did I use paint? I don't know what I used it for. Anyway, I've been using that as my template for the circle. And let's just cut 2 out. Oh, see, it's going to go over the crease. Oh, no, this is smooth. This is good. Okay. So, if you have a circle cutter and, you know, like real live chipboard, and that's what you want to use, well, go ahead. I won't judge you for it. But, you know, if you want to just dig something out of the bathroom trash can and use it like I did, then we can be best friends. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to cut those out, and I need my other scissors. Here they are. And you can leave these just like they are. You can paint them. You can cover them with paper. You know, whatever. Like I said, they are just for some stability so that your pumpkin won't wobble, and just so you'll have something to glue your strips to. So it doesn't matter. I think what I will do is just see if I can find one of my markers, see if it'll cover up enough. And you probably want to cover both sides, because sometimes you can catch a little glimpse of the top side that's inside the pumpkin. Okay, that was just a great idea, wasn't it? Alright, let's go back to the pit pen. Now that I've got all this marker crap gooped on there, nothing's gonna stick. What else? I don't want to go upstairs. I've got damn spray paint right in front of me, but I'm not doing that in here. How about... yeah. Okay, I've got this, because I used the silver nail polish on some of the other ones. We could do that. I bet it might take the whole bottle, though. Oh, that's right, I thinned it. Oh, smart me. There we go. That's good enough. I used this nail polish on one of those silver and black pumpkins that I did the other day. I didn't really use it successfully. I ended up having to get some silver paint and go over it. But this was still sitting there, so let's just use it. We'll let those dry. We are also going to need a toilet paper tube. That is for the center column. You can see inside there. That is the center of the pumpkin. It holds it upright. That's what you attach the top of your tubes to. And it helps make your stem. And for tubes that are this size, which I really should find out how long that is so you'll know. Yeah, looks like this paper was about 11 inches long when it started. So, if your paper's 8.5 by 11, width doesn't matter because you're going to cut it in strips anyway. But if it's 11 inches long, then it's going to work just fine with a standard size toilet paper tube. And I realize they vary slightly, depending on the brand, but that's okay. They're close enough. But it'll give you a nicely shaped pumpkin. Oh, I guess you should see my prototype when I was trying to figure this out. And I did, I've not really seen one done with tubes like this, but I did see on a blog this woman had taken strips of scrapbook paper. She covered them with Mod Podge and then twisted them, and then used those little twisties to make a pumpkin similar to this. So that's where I got my inspiration. But I didn't want to be dipping paper in Mod Podge. That just seemed like a mess that I wasn't in the mood for. So I had all my tubes out, so I started using those. And this is the first one. And it's just really, really sad. It's headed for the recycle bin, but I just wanted to save it to show you that, you sometimes have to make a few duds until you get it figured out. And this is definitely a dud. But you know what? That's part of the learning process. So, now if you put some tissue paper or something inside your pumpkin, you won't be able to see the toilet paper tube. So, you can leave it plain if you want. But I want the option of either stuffing it with something or not. So, I want my tube to be to look nice in case I decide that I don't want the paper in there. So what I'm going to do is, okay, I've already established I don't really have any paint down here. I could marker it, or how about I just cover it with paper or tubes. I've got some of these black ones. I bet I've got enough solid black ones to do. Oh yeah. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'm just going to wrap some black tubes around here. You are probably going to want to use a glue gun for this project because you're going to be gluing lots of things down that you need to stick immediately, and a glue gun's probably going to be your best bet. I need another. There we go. And I've been using my little Aleene's Ultimate glue gun with the fine point on there, and it has been working great. I got no complaints. So let's do, I have to sit down now. I normally don't sit and craft, but I'm tired. Okay, I'm just going to put a tiny little blob. I'll lay this in it like that. And then start spiraling. I'm not going to freak out about this because we'll fix that at the end. Hang on, I've got stuff that's distracting me. Okay. Now what I usually do is connect the tubes, like, you know, like that. But for this, you know, I'm not even going to bother because it's not really going to show. It doesn't matter, so I'm just going to glue these little guys down. You just have to promise not to make fun of me if you see the glue gun shaking when I squeeze it. Because that's one of those wrist issue things that I just don't have enough hand strength to really squeeze that glue gun properly. Sometimes it shakes like I've got a palsy or something. Alright, you just keep going. And again, I just apologize for the state of my hands. They're just disgusting. But it's this black paint is all it is, and there's really nothing I can do about it except whack my nails off, which I am going to do. You know, I used to be really glad when I was younger that they grew so fast. You know, back when I bothered to groom myself. But I don't do that anymore. So now, the fact that they grow fast is just irritating because I'm always having to cut them. And yeah, I'm pretty much just sticking my fingers directly into hot glue because I have artist hands. I don't have frou-frou little girly hands that go, ouch, it's hot. You know, I could do some damage with these hands. Not that they're skilled or anything, but they're tough. I think it's genetic. I remember one time growing up, my grandmother, my mother's mother, came to visit, and we had a swimming pool in our backyard. And I couldn't have been more than maybe, I don't know, 10 years old. And she was out there, you know, swimming with us grandkids, and this big old wasp flew up, as they tend to do around swimming pools. It landed on one of our beach towels. My grandmother picks up the towel, grabs the wasp with her bare hands, and squeezes the life out of it. And it was the craziest thing. And I said, Siti, she's Lebanese, so I called her Siti, what are you doing? She says, I don't want that to sting the grandkids. She had this low, gravelly, you know, like heroin addict voice. Well, she wasn't a heroin addict, but, you know, she's one of those lifelong smokers. She was born smoking, and she was a retired Army nurse, so, you know, there's just really nothing gentle about her. I loved her to death, but she was a character, and the woman could squash a live hornet with her bare hands. Okay, we've got this covered good enough. So, and since it is just a, you know, it's the center tube, it's not really even going to be seen, I'm just going to go in and kind of use my marker to hide some of the imperfections. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I'll color in these blank areas. it's just easier to do this than it is to wrestle trying to get the paper around it, because it's, well, if you spiral paper around something, you'll know what I'm talking about. You have to overlap part of it and then bump it up, and then it's just a pain. I used to wear acrylic nail, like I had acrylic nails for probably 5 or 6 years solid. Never took them off, just kept getting them filled. And, you know, never had any trouble with it. It's one of those rare people who got along well with their acrylics. But the more I started doing art stuff, you know, I've always been kind of artsy craftsy, but the more I got into, you know, like real hardcore art stuff, the harder it was on my nails, and I would just end up, you know, paying $50 for a set of acrylic nails and then melting one with my heat gun. And that was just not working for me. So, yeah, I gave that up. Decided that was just not conducive to my lifestyle. Okay, I think this is good enough. I'm about to use up that poor little marker. Let's try this other one. This is a fabric marker, and I know I'm using it on paper. I'm just a rebel that way. Okay, attaching the tubes, I did this a couple of different ways, and I found that the easiest way is just to do them individually and not really in a circle. I did it a couple of different ways. I did them all in a circle, and then I did some, you know, I don't know. It just get them on there, basically, is all you need to worry with. This one, you're going to need one for the bottom of your pumpkin right here. I think I will use this one for the bottom. And then you're going to need another one to glue your strips on the inside. And I believe, no, okay, you glue your strips on the bottom one and then you cover it with the other one. That's it. Okay, so the one, this one right here is the one you glue your strips on, and I said I was going to use this one, didn't I? Okay, so let's start gluing. Now, since I have all these patterns, I do want it to kind of make sense. I mean, I don't want it to be, you know, too planned out looking, but I have a combination of solids and patterns, so I'm going to kind of divide those up. So that I can stagger them. You know, perfect randomness. That's what I want. You just have to, sometimes have to pre-plan your randomness. And it's just better that way for everyone to do that. Okay. So, I'm going to lay these black ones and the silver ones down first. Let's just do the black ones first. And here's what you're going to want to do. This one has been bent. That's alright. Am I in frame? You know what? I better check. Yeah, I am. It'd be just like me to do an hour and a half totally out of frame. Okay. So, you're just going to glue them about like this, like spokes on a wheel. Like that. And this, what you're looking at right now, is the inside of the pumpkin. The outside of the pumpkin is going to be whatever's underneath. That's why I'm turning these silver ones down. That was silver, wasn't it? Let's put another one there. And then let's put one there and one there. Okay, those are the solids, and that way I've got them kind of laid out perfectly random, and then I can just fill in with my others. So let's do this thing. Just make a circle of glue and stick these puppies in there. And you're just going to be adding layers and layers of glue and strips. So don't worry about it. Just get them on there. You know, be nice if they're kind of, bless you.
Thank you.
If they're kind of centered and make sense, but if they're not, it's okay. I do kind of try to get them, the space between them kind of even. Makes it easier to fill in. Bless you. A little sneezy over there. Okay. See? There you go. Now, you just continue to fill in. Okay, now I'm going to be more like real random and not so pre-planned random. I'm going to put another circle of glue. I'm pretty generous with the glue at this point. Then I just start going in between each one. Now, alrighty. See how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 24. So, I think we need to fill in at least one in between each one. Now I do want to try to not get off-centered too badly. And let's just go in and start putting some more. Just trying to, again, keep them as evenly spaced as I can. And if you don't think that you can get yours glued down before your glue dries, then you don't have to put the whole circle of glue down. Just put a semicircle down, whatever works for you. Oh, see, I don't like that. That's two lines next to each other. But oh well. It's done now. Okay, that looks good. And I didn't really pay attention to evenness, and was I getting one between each one, and I don't know if you could tell that I was not paying much attention. I was just kind of slapping them down, and that is fine. I think this will give us a nice full pumpkin in the end. See, I keep thinking, oh wait, I just need one more here. I need one more here, and I've just about used up all my strips, and I didn't think I would. Alright, now. Okay, so let's see how many we ended up with. Wow, 55. This will be a good one. Okay. Now, so you can get a visual. This is what our pumpkin is going to look like from the bottom. Quite nice, don't you think? Yeah. Alright. Now, here's what I'm going to do. We need our disc that goes on top. This is the other one that I made, our other circle. It's going to go right here. So, about right there is where it goes. just going to put a little blob for now, just to hold it in place. And that is where I'm going to attach my, toilet paper tube here in a minute. Okay, got it placed where I want it. Now, I'm just going to go, oh, what's that? Picking up random blobs of old glue. Okay, it's alright. Just going to go around and glue the edges down. And when I'm doing this, I can use this opportunity to kind of pull my strips if, you know, I've got some bunched up and I want to spread them out. This is the time to do it, because that little thing can kind of help you. Now, just before I get too much further, double check to make sure. Not perfect, but you know what? Close enough. Yeah, it's doable. Okay. Now, PP tube, it gets glued right in the middle of your little cardboard thing that's on the inside of your pumpkin, and it doesn't matter, just pick an end. I've got such a mess over here. Oh, gosh. Okay. Just put some glue along the edge. Like that. And line it up, you know. Center it as best you can. Press it down. Now this next part is really the only time-consuming thing other than rolling the tubes, which to me doesn't count because, you know, that's just kind of mindless stuff you can do whenever. But even though this one is the time-consuming part, this is kind of the fun part for me anyway. Now you'll notice that although your tubes are pretty close to the same length, they're not exact. You know, there's a little variance depending on how long the paper was and how far in you glued it, you know, all that mess. So I usually look for a really short one. To me, this one looks freakishly short. I don't know how that one got so short. And that's the one that I start with. I glue my shortest one first, because you're going to use your first one to, that's going to gauge how big all of the rest of your loops are, so that they're kind of the same size and you get a fairly uniform pumpkin. I mean, obviously you don't want it exact because, you know, handmade, but then you don't want this going on either, where see you've got this little shorty in there and then woo, look at that one. No, we don't want that. So here's what you do. You take your shortest thingy tube, put a little glue on the end, and then just glue, you know, about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch is all you need into there, just like that. Now, this is what you're going to use to kind of measure the rest of your strips to tell you how far in to glue them, you know, how far over to bend them. Here's what I'm talking about. And you can see that some of these strips are on top and some are underneath. Start with the ones on top, do those first, then your underneath ones last. So, see this one right next, this one was actually an underneath one, but it was our shortest, so we had to start with it. But this next one right here is on top. There's not another strip over it, so I'm going to take it. Don't worry about making these pumpkin shaped right now. Let's just worry about getting them sized right. Hold it here, and can you see This one is quite a bit bigger than this one. So I pull it in until they're about the same. When I pull on them, they're even. I've got about the same amount of tension on both of them. I kind of make a crease because that tells me how far in to glue. There. Glue it down. And you just keep going around and doing that. You just want to make sure that you only glue to the inside. You'll see me squeezing like this, which is fine, but there's no glue on the outside of my tube, and that's very important because at the end you're going to need to be able to pull these up to make the pumpkin shape. So glue only to the inside of your tube, and just keep working your way around. And I wouldn't recommend going in order. Like I said, just do the ones on top, but skip around a few and work your way around so that you don't lose your, your measurement here thing doesn't get all off without you knowing it. I don't know how to say that, but you know what I'm talking about. Now I'm not going to film this whole tedious process because it's just the same thing over and over and over. I think you get it. So I'm going to go away, finish gluing these in, and then come back and show you what's next.